I was thinking, you know, the thing about tourists, I know I look amazing, don't I, is they seem to largely have the attitude that when they visit another country, they themselves are not representing their own nation, but acting as some sort of eccentric ambassadorial attaché from the Twilight Zone, where it really is quite acceptable to wear socks with sandals and waddle around with fluorescent pouches beneath monumental beer bellies, sweating like a marathon runner's ballsack during the Lycra special, walking around stuffing their face with shit, talking shit. Oh look, a penguin! What is it with tourists fanning around the most documented places on Earth like they've got 10 minutes to make a visual record before a flood comes and engulfs the area with everyone else's overexposed photos that they put a wanker filter over on Instagram? Listen, I understand you want to take a picture of yourself in front of the Sphinx, that's fine, but do you need to take 15? The seizure-inducing flashing lights at tourist spots at dusk is enough to make anyone yearn for the days of film rolls, when taking a picture would actually have to be considered and the shot composed at least a little bit so as not to waste some money. I mean, I don't want to begin a whole spiel about photography, but life was better when someone would come up to you with a camera, ask you to take a picture of them in front of what they thought was the place that they do all the premieres, but was in fact Soho's filthiest porn theatre, and then fuck off. Not take their phone back off you, squint at the blob representing their face and ask you to do it again. It's almost as if people have exchanged actually being somewhere with being photographed somewhere in terms of importance. So when they get home, they can select a Facebook picture of themselves pushing the Leaning Tower of Pisa with their gelatinous arms and put the other 815 crap photos into a folder they'll never see again marked bullshit. You know, I actually remember a time when you'd be on your vacations and there'd be a bloke with a camera with the type of lens that used to be thrust into Princess Diana's face before she had it become part of the passenger seat's headrest, and I'd think, oh good, every tour needs a paedophile and I've identified this one. After all, you can't go on holiday without spotting at least one nonce. Now, every chummalumma's walking around with a 2-grand camera taking high-definition photos of pigeons and Dunkin' Donuts signs written in foreign, all without Al Pacino in sight. What better way of advertising yourself as a prime piece of sauerkraut for the inevitable thieves that come with tourist attractions than having thousands of pounds worth of equipment and the type of footwear and short shorts that mean pursual speed is comparable to a scarab rolling a particularly clarty elephant turd? You know, I suppose all of that is kind of inevitable, really, like milk turning sour, or the fact that we all die and will be forgotten, or the overdue return of fascism. But you know what really steps on my rake is these tourists who come back from their all-inclusive deal at the Costa del Trotta, having laid by a chlorinated pool of piss and beer for 2 weeks, shouting at the back of a taxi driver's head to and from the airport, and venturing out of their compound only to eat their national food at a tourist restaurant and find some place that'll rent them a jet ski, even though they've got an alcohol-to-blood ratio of a pint of Guinness, and tell you all about the country they've visited like they've been living and stoning it up for the last 15 years. The Spanish do not know how to bat a fish, not at all, and their Yorkshire puddings really are too crispy, and everyone's dressed as a waiter, and they all speak English, and in Spain they don't use keys for keys but swipe cards. English, motherfucker, do you speak it? English! I'm English, don't you know? How many times have I seen tourists completely fail to appreciate where they actually are? The woman who went up to a shop assistant in Cancun airport and said, but where are all the Canadian cigarettes? Or the couple I saw in downtown Cairo who were very lost and getting accosted by someone trying to sell them not baseball cards, their only defense being that they would immediately contact the American embassy if people didn't stop trying to sell them things. Because that always works, doesn't it? Getting shirty with people in their own country, about their own country, while surrounded by thousands of people from and living in their own country. You know, I once saw a tourist come through a restaurant's doorway in Delhi and tell the waiter that the bathroom was appalling. The waiter raised his eyebrows and said, sir, we don't have a bathroom, what have you done? But I suppose that's only one below shitting in a bidet, and who hasn't done that? But then again, you get those tourists who don't know where they are because they're on some sort of mission, like they're on holiday to meet the Pope with a Nigerian prince who owes them 16 million euros, or take photos of exotic parakeets, and all they can do is think and talk about that. Ooh, an owl pellet, it's a blue-headed Marmaduke, male, 3 years old, enjoys long walks in the country in Shostakovich. But let's talk candidly here, like we're Elton John talking about anything but his marriages, whatever. Most tourists are on a mission to get an exotic form of venereal disease from someone who resembles a vacuum cleaner without the personality. And British tourists are the worst, or at least they are when they get together, because if Britain were a man, he'd be 15 stone, hungry and incredibly drunk. And while I've no doubt that people from other countries like to flood places like Pattaya or Falaraki and have sex with prostitutes and vomit their soul up across 7 bars and a lap dancing club, there's a real streak of masochistic hedonism that seems to run through the Brit abroad, just like there's a streak of short wearing that runs through North Americans, or a streak of malcontention that runs through me. Just a thought. I don't know why people go away, it's all the same anyway. Crap food, crap people, crap weather, crap.